Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Gathering. Tonight, you have no Matt, but you have Michelle and I, and Tori is having some technical issues, but hopefully she'll get popped on here in a few minutes. But tonight, we're excited to have Ricky Hellard from Riverbend Paranormal with us tonight. So, Ricky, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ricky Hellard. I'm an investigator with Riverbend Paranormal, Indiana, and I'm from the Fort Wayne, Indiana area.
Okay. Let's see. There's Tori popping back on. Let's see if we can get her back up. Well,
So how long have you been investigating?
Roughly around 17 years.
okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've been in a little while.
So you were actually born in Honolulu, Hawaii,
Yep, my dad's
and you moved to
retired Navy.
Georgia.
Yep.
How long did you live in Honolulu?
About 3 years, roughly.
Okay, so you're
from the point where I was born. I was still pretty young when I left, but I can still vividly remember actually going to the beach and sitting in my floaty. So it's definitely a place you won't forget.
Well, that's cool. So you moved to Georgia when you were 3. What part of Georgia did you live in?
I went to Pensacola first. That I lived there till about 99. So once I got to Georgia, I was mainly in the Centerville, Warner Robins area.
Okay.
Lived there for quite a few years, about 6 years, and then we moved out to what's called Crawford County. And it's funny because it's out so far out in the country, even people in Georgia, like in the surrounding counties, don't even really know what Crawford County is. It's the weirdest thing. It's
Well,
good old country town.
Yeah, I used to visit Helen in
Helen, Georgia.
Yeah. We used to. My in-laws, Hiwassee. They own the cabin in Hiwassee. Beautiful country down there. Mountainous. Really, really liked it. So, but anyway, let's get into the show and tell us how you started. You're getting your start in the paranormal.
Okay, so the first thing, as I was growing up, like for all the way from an infant up to the toddler stages, my mom and dad always, they told me as I got older that I would always hear things, see things, but of course, being good parents, they were like, no, that's not real. They're trying to keep me calm. And it was around the age of 12 or 13, I was up at Chickamauga Battlefield, which is right on the Tennessee-Georgia line.
Right.
And I'm a huge Civil War buff, so I was so excited to be there. I was just so tuned into the history, and it's like I was just excited to be there. And I was coming out of the bathroom, and I walk up to the area where the double doors open that goes into like the museum area, and then kind of off to the left there's the gun collection area. So I'll never forget it. A group of people walked by, which caused the doors to open, and behind them there was a 6'3" tall Confederate soldier, cavalry officer. I saw his hat, the tassels, everything was so vividly detailed. I mean, I saw the colors, gray uniform, the golden, the tassels and stuff, and the trim on his actual uniform. He had a saber, pistol, and he made eye contact with me. Kind of grinned, tipped his hat, winked, and walked off into the gun collection area. Well, this part of the gun collection area where he walked into, the only way out is the way you came in. There's a solid wall. There's not the part where it loops. This is the area where it literally went into a solid wall. So it kind of startled me after that. I'm like, I just saw a ghost. And little did I know, I saw the Holy Grail. And that really kind of sparked the interest as far as, getting in and more involved into it. I wasn't scared anymore. At that point, I lost all my fear. Because growing up, I was kind of scared of it because I wasn't understanding what was going on.
Right. Was that you? Well, you said it. That is kind of the Holy Grail. We have a pretty big team, and a lot of us have seen apparitions and things. I have not personally witnessed one myself yet, but I keep waiting for that moment to happen. And I have seen like a light in a bouncing head in a window that I couldn't explain. But as far as a full blown apparition, people go their whole lifetimes without really catching one of those. So that was cool that you caught it at an early age.
Yeah, it blew me away. I'll never forget it because I went from the state of, when I would think about, like, that's the thing I tell a lot of people that are getting involved in the field. It's the thought of seeing a ghost or, what you're making it appear to be versus it actually happening, because your mind will play tricks on you. But when it actually happens, you don't typically run from it. You go into investigative mode. You're just like, okay, what was that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Riverbend Paranormal, because if I'm remembering correctly, it's got a couple of big names on that team.
Yep. Brian and Rochelle, Team Rochelle.
Yeah.
Annie's Ghost Hunters. Awesome people.
Right.
It's an honor to call them teammates and friends. We met them back last May. They came down to Waverly Hills with us and did an investigation. And at that time, we were part of another team. And as things went on, we kind of separated ways. And it's with the other team. And Brian and Rochelle kind of reached out to us and be like, hey, would you guys like to be a part of us? And that's kind of how it happened. Tim
Right.
was like, yeah, let me bring my team on. And now here we are, Riverbend, Indiana.
That's pretty cool.
We're extremely humbled and honored to just have the opportunity and represent the Riverbend name.
Right. So you guys have a pretty large team. How many members are on your team?
On ours, I want to say on Indiana, roughly around 15. And
Okay.
Riverbend's pretty much the same as well. They have quite a few people.
Okay. Well, our team's pretty large itself. It's 11 people. Pretty diverse. I think we got 6 females and 5 guys. Is that right? I think that's right. Or 4. Oh, 7 girls and 4 guys. Let's see, me, Matt, Wes, and Kevin. We just got 4 guys. We're outnumbered. Oh, Marcus.
Yeah.
So it's 6 and 5. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but our group started out as Matt and Kevin and myself, and we just got to a point to where we wanted to be more diverse, and we added Michelle and Christina to the team, and then Rhonda and Nikita, who are our psychic mediums, and then recently we haven't formally introduced them yet, but we've added Tori and her sister Whitley and their dad Marcus, who me and Matt work with at the fire department. So
Awesome.
We feel like having that diversity helps us in our paranormal
It does.
investigations.
I agree.
So you have any? So would you consider yourself gifted as far as empathic or
do you have any abilities?
I do have abilities. I don't like typically label myself with them, but I do have the abilities and the evidence to prove it. I do have clairaudience. I'm also I am an empath. As the years I've been investigating, I've grown to kind of get that term because the way I pick up on the energies and stuff like that, and just
right.
I'm pretty much on my team. I'm pretty much the target when I walk into an actual haunted location. It's like there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah. Well, we have one of those too, and his name's Kevin. They usually like to pick on Kevin or call his name out. So, but I think everybody that gets into the paranormal has an empathic side to them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's a reason that people are drawn to this field, and usually it's because they sense those energies, that come with it. I growing up didn't have any experiences. I really didn't have a paranormal experience until like 3 investigations in when I joined the team. But I was always curious about the paranormal when I was growing up. I read all the books by Hans Holzer and all those. But did you have any influences growing up as far as paranormal?
As I was growing up, like after I had that first experience, I kind of went to the book and knowledge kind of route and just kind of did some research. But once Ghost Hunters first came out, the original on Sci-Fi with Jason and Grant,
right?
I took favor to them, immediately. I enjoyed what they were doing and their approach to it. Then Ghost Adventures and stuff came. All the other shows after Ghost Hunters start, just coming out of like just wildfire. And over the years, I've seen so many different investigators and so many different styles. So I have quite a few people I look up to. But the first, if I had to choose the first people that I looked up to, it was definitely Jason and Grant.
Yeah, for sure. Because they were one of the first teams to do it on TV. And then, I don't know when Paranormal State came along, but they were shortly thereafter, I think. And
yep. And also shout out to Ed and Lorraine Warren. Those are also two people.
Well, they were, of course, they were the
OGs.
yeah. So tell us some of the places that you've been and some of your, I know your favorite location. I'm gonna let you talk about that, but where are some of the cool places that you've been? I know Waverly's one of them.
Man, yeah, Waverly was one of them. But I got to go back way, like when I first started. Our first as an investigator, my first big location was Fort McAllister in Richmond Hill, Georgia.
Okay.
That's always going to have a special place in my heart because that's where we got our start as a team, like a legit team into investigating, and I'll never forget it. Just anywhere from full-bodied apparition, shadow figures, residual battle almost. High Tide had came in the first night we were there, and my ex-brother-in-law, he was like, "There's somebody standing down there." And I'm like, "You're pulling my leg." I look over there, there's nothing there, but then out of the corner of my eye, I see the shadow kind of peek out from a tree and then dart at the speed of light. It just boom, 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 boom down trees. And this is over high tide water, which in that area is anywhere from 4 to 6 feet deep. So I know Jesus wasn't running around in the middle of the night walking on water like that. So I'm like, holy cow. And not only was I experiencing it, but my sister, my ex-brother-in-law, and my niece Haley at the time, and she was 9 years old. And she got started because she wouldn't stop throwing a fit because she wanted to investigate. So we kind of took her out, and yeah, that was like the first big location. What the place that actually like we first started investigating. It's a funny story. It's an old cemetery there in Crawford County. This is shortly after, we've been watching a lot of Ghost Hunters, and my sister and ex-brother-in-law had the idea of, hey, we're going to go take Ricky out and scare him. Well, long story short, it backfired on him because I'll never forget it. We had one of those voice recorders. It was like this little stick. It was the weirdest looking thing, but it didn't have a USB port or anything, unfortunately, because once I figured out that, I could upload them, I would have done it, but so many good EVPs came from there. And that was also another pivotal moment in investigative history for me, is because we were getting voices of people that weren't around us. And at that point, that's what really lit the fire.
So that was,
what's that?
That was in Crawford County? Was that
Crawford County, Georgia? Yep.
Okay.
It used to be known as the Dixon United Methodist Church. It's changed name and ownership over the past, but it's literally right across the street from Crawford County Sheriff's Department. And the jail. Yeah.
Well, I've yet to do a cemetery. I've been doing this about 5 years now, and I've not been to a cemetery. Although there's one on my bucket list, but I can't get any of my teammates to go with it. So, and that's we went to Mid-South last year and talked with Bishop James Long, and he talked about he talked about a place called Hell's Gate Cemetery. Yeah, it's right outside of Louisville, and I was intrigued. I want to go. The skeptic in me wants to go, but the rest of my team says no. We ain't going.
So hit or miss, though, honestly. Like I've been to a
Christina
lot of
says
them,
no,
guys.
Al.
But I mean, it's really like hit or miss, and that's the thing. Like when I look back now, it's like we lucked out as far as the activity that's in that cemetery, because majority of the ones I've been to in the past, it's just like hit or miss. Some you'll get a little bit of interaction, but there's been some where I just like going out there. There was one by my friend's house in Georgia. Just going out there when it's a full moon, it's just the most peaceful like thing ever. The moon is literally like lighting up the whole cemetery. You see all the headstones.
Right.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
But
I've been to several other places. I'll start with the start of last year. We got off to a bang. We didn't know, of course, at the time, we didn't know COVID was about to hit. This is in January. And we did Madison Seminary, which is in Madison, Ohio.
Right. Right outside Cincinnati.
Really crazy as far as what's that?
Was that right outside Cincinnati?
I'm not sure. I think so.
Okay.
It's about 3.5 hours from where I'm at.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up on a map, but yeah, nothing like personal experience wise that was too crazy besides hearing voices with my ears, but that's constantly, at any active location I'm gonna hear it. But that kind of at the beginning of the nights when I heard the first one, we actually caught it on EVP. It said that's enough, and we actually caught the same voice later up in the asylum area, and there's said to be a pretty intimidating male's presence, like a stern doctor up there, and he actually heard you hear him come through the recorder saying they're coming as a group of the investigators are walking towards this one area.
Wow.
So it's really well known for the audio aspect for me. I know other people, especially Adam, the guy that owns the building, has had all sorts of crazy, encounters in the building. But the audio is what was really crazy for us. Madison produced some of the best audio we got. We actually caught what appears to be a patient kind of moaning and growling because it was an asylum, so they kind of had mentally handicapped patients up there. And a lot of people, when they heard it, like, oh, that's demonic. But I said, you got to realize where it's at, though. Some people with the disabilities, they make weird noises. And I think that's honestly what we may have caught. That maybe that was the only sound they knew how to make. But there's also lots of bad rumors of forced abortions up there, rape, all sorts of just dark history. And the energy, it can be pretty intense up on there. On that floor. But other than that, we actually caught Phantom music, and it got erased off my recorder, and I didn't hit erase. So I let Adam hear it. Adam was like white as a ghost when he heard it. He's like, dude, whoa. Because one of our investigators, Frank, he was just playing, periodic time music around the entire floor area and the building throughout the night to kind of trigger something. And, it did. It was like 1920s or 30s swing music. You could hear the trumpets, and it was almost like it was playing on a jukebox, but there's no jukebox, or there was nothing really playing that music. So it was pretty interesting. We caught screaming right after the walkie-talkie went off. Yeah, you can hear it. It sounds like it comes from a room or something, but a female really screaming. And none of our investigators were screaming. And what's crazy is this was happening during a time block. And our time block is when, we have different parts of the building. We all sit and we're just quiet and we kind of, talk low when we're asking questions. But yeah, it was nuts.
Well, I think I've got that on our bucket list, which is probably 5 pages long. We've got so many places we want to go, but
I recommend it. It's a phenomenal location. It's huge, beautiful. It's got a lot of architecture to it too.
Yeah, we like places like that. Where was I going with that? Did COVID slow you guys down a lot last year? You said
really,
you were pretty busy.
It didn't. That's why we're so grateful. Because looking back at 2020, it's like, wow, we covered a lot of places in the middle of the pandemic. We started getting our hopes kind of bashed after what's around the May area, right before we went to Waverly. Like Kentucky completely shut down, and they literally opened up the day before we went to Waverly. So it was a blessing, but that Waverly was just incredible. I love it. I love it. I'm actually going back this year 3 times, back to back.
That's also on our bucket list. I think we need to fire our case manager and get a different one because we've not gotten into that place yet. I've tried, and they're they get pretty full, and then they cut it off certain times
I mean,
of
you have
year.
to book it like at the first of the year, or it books super quick, and that's what we had to do. We had our 2 people on our team. Shout out Amanda and Chris Cummer. They were on it. They were just constantly all day. Oh, what's up, Adam? That's a friend of mine. I actually met Adam at an event. I'll talk about that here shortly.
Okay. So we went up to Mid-South, was it last year?
Year before.
Yeah. And we actually drove up to Waverly, hoping just to drive up and see the building. And they had it locked down. They wouldn't even let
It's
it.
a gate, and isn't it in such a weird location? You have to drive.
It is. I mean, it's like you leave this like city and go into this residential area, and then it's
some weird golf course too. It's just like it made no sense because last year was actually my first time being there, so it was cool for the whole experience. You'll never forget the Waverly experience when you actually get behind those gates and you're looking at that building. It's breathtaking.
I think Tori wants to go to Waverly too, don't you, Tori?
Hey, I am down to go anywhere. I don't know about saying not anywhere. I'm still not sure about RTI yet, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah, Waverly's
that's a must.
Waverly, Trans-Allegheny, Rolling Hills. That's probably our top 3 on our bucket list.
Yep, those other 2 I haven't been to yet. That's on my bucket as well. Oh man, that'd be so cool to go.
We took a trip in May of 2019. It was Matt and Rhonda, Nikita, and Kevin and myself, and we went up and we stopped in Trans-Allegheny just to see the place, and it's massive. I mean, it's huge.
That's what I've heard. It looks so much bigger in person too, and it looks big in the pictures. That's what's crazy.
Oh yeah. I mean, so we went in and went to the gift shop and bought some T-shirts, and it was like we got to definitely come back here. But it's just one of those places we've been so many places, but so many places we still yet to go.
Right.
So let's talk about Waverly. I actually have a clip from Waverly that I'm going to play here. Do you want to give us a little lead up to what the clip's about?
Oh, about my EVP?
Yeah.
I think did I send over 1 or 2?
Matt sent me 1, so I've got 1.
I believe this one is actually caught when I'm on the 2nd floor, and I heard it with my own ears. You hear me react to it, and I immediately stopped recording because it was so loud and clear, but it appears to be saying, "You're off camera." You're going to hear my friend Bart talking, and then me talking about, kind of like I had images in my head of like patients and like just in line and, like just hearing them moan and pain and stuff like that. And then you'll hear the voice and it's like, "You're off camera." And it's none of our voices. It's got the raspy, what I call the ghost voice. And I heard it immediately, and you hear me just react to it. I'm like, whoa, hold up. So yeah, that's one of our really good captures. We got a lot of good captures from there, but to me personally, that was my most favorite.
Do you think a location such as Waverly, do you think it? Well, how do I want to put this? It's investigated so much. Do you think they just? I mean, the spirits are used to people being there, or
they are. But then there's times where I think they just get so tired of having people coming and poking at them all the time.
Right. Yeah.
It's been hit or miss there sometimes too. You'll go one night, it's completely dead. Like my friend and my fellow teammate is more like a brother to me, T-Dog. He went a few times last year, and it was literally like a month before we went in May. So it was like in April, and it was dead quiet. No pun intended, but
right.
When we went in May, it was active. So, I mean, I think, they're just like us there. And I think more than anything, there's probably more residual versus intelligence. But don't get me wrong. There's still quite a few intelligent spirits based on some of the stuff that we caught. It was cool. I actually I actually saw a figure, a half-bodied apparition. It was mainly legs, in the same area that that Jay and Grant caught that thermal hit in the hallway.
Okay, I remember that. They were outside, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I remember I was walking and I literally saw feet go like this right past the door. And I was like, holy crap. And there's no reflection because there's no windows really in any of those buildings.
Right.
When me, Brian, and Rochelle were walking back from, it's actually coming back this way on the third floor, I actually saw a shadow figure, but it was like from shoulder to head and it went from left to right in the room. Then again, I thought it was a reflection, but then I looked, there's no window. So we had a lot of activity in the body chute as well, as far as noises. But my recommendation to anybody that investigates there is your voice is going to carry, and you may be thinking you're hearing a response. So it's actually, most of the time it's your voice, but there was quite a few times where nobody was talking as I was walking up the chute, and I literally heard a man call out. It was the craziest thing. And it echoed inside the whole tunnel and everybody around me heard it.
Yeah. I've heard that body chute's a pretty creepy place.
It is. And you think it's big on TV, but when you're there, it's literally almost a 45-degree angle and it goes 500 yards.
Wow.
I mean, we turned the light on. This is what's crazy. It's pitch black. So we turned the light on and we walk all the way down, and you just see this little small room of light basically when you get to the bottom of the chute. It's crazy.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and play the EVP. I listened to it a couple times. It's definitely very creepy.
The voice, so I'll never forget.
I'll go ahead and play that.
We hear a lot of that, like patients moaning, calling out. That's exactly what it sounded like too. Yeah. They want weight. Ending EVP session and playing back. I think yeah. They want weight. Ending EVP session and playing back. I think
So I'm not sure, is that what you sent, Matt, or did he edit it a little bit so you could hear it a little clearer?
No, that's what I sent him. That's what I sent him.
Okay.
Yep.
Definitely can hear, the raspy, ghosty voice like you said.
Yeah, creepy.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is what it's saying. It kind of shows intelligence because, everybody that goes there, especially the TV shows, the people, the paranormal investigators, they're constantly in and out of there. They're always on camera. And
right.
Waverly was shut down for a short period of time because of COVID. And I think that really got the spirits kind of riled up. And they're like, wait, you're off camera. They were saying, kind of confused why we didn't have cameras.
Yeah, like calling you out on it.
Yeah.
So, I definitely want to get to Waverly. That's like I said, that's probably in our top 5 places to go. We went to Kentucky like 5 times last year. We did Ross Opera House.
Or year before.
Okay.
The year before.
Before COVID.
We did last year. We went. We actually had a good year. Although COVID was going on, we went to Brushy Mountain and Hell's Bar Dam right as COVID hit.
Two places I haven't been yet. Those are
okay. Well, you need to go to those places. We're good friends with the End of the Line Paranormal that run Brushy, so
cool.
we'll definitely hook you up with them. Brushy, we've been there twice. It's a very ominous, cool location. If you get a chance to go, you should go.
That's actually our number one planned out area that we want to go to.
Yeah, and that's just an hour and a half from us, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, and then we went up, and I think they got tired of me asking, but I finally got us in the Anderson Hotel in what town is that in? Kentucky? Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
Okay.
They had actually shut it down for a while because the activity was so rampant in there. People were getting
Oh,
bitten,
wow.
they said.
I think it was shut down for several years.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
several years. We went up to me and Kevin and Matt went up and did the TV Rippy house, which is right down the street from the Anderson Hotel. And we had seen the Anderson on Paranormal Lockdown. Nick Groff and Katrina Weedman had done it.
Yep.
And we were like, we got to get in that place. And I kept asking and kept asking. And I think finally they were like, you know what? He's not going to quit asking, so we might as well let him come. So, so then we went and did old Hellas Bar Dam and Old South Pittsburgh again.
My favorite.
I know. So that's what I was foraying into. So, that's your favorite place. You want to talk about some of your experiences there?
Yep. Back when I heard about it, I was with a team when I was in Georgia, and I never knew what Old South Pittsburgh Hospital was. It just sounded really cool, and they played the evidence, that they caught the years prior, and I was like, okay, I can't wait to go to this place. Originally, when I first went there, I wasn't expecting much. I pulled up the location, I saw, the condition it was in, and it was depressing. Like, the energy was just so bad when you used to walk into the doors. You couldn't breathe because of the mold, and I really think, the spirits were pissed off. I mean, based on, some of the evidence that we were getting and just the activity. Well, during that time, I spent 4 days and 5 nights at the location. We had the honor of doing that. And so I slept there. I was there quite a while. And every single day, I had an experience. The craziest ones that I had was what I call the third floor slammers, the door slamming on the third floor. Super intense. Like, something was pissed off. It was literally slamming doors. And the first time I heard it gave me goosebumps. So I kind of stopped. Then I grabbed a flashlight, ran upstairs because I'm like, okay, the building is falling apart and there's so many holes and stuff in walls. Somebody could have got in there. So carefully, I went up on the third floor and I did a sweep. Nobody was in there. So I was like, okay, wow. If it happens again, then it's paranormal. Well, later, like while I was sleeping that night, boom. I mean, and when the door slammed, they were doing it numerous times. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. So went to bed. And then I was awoken by commotion in the hallway. Well, the people that we were with, the founder and her husband had to go back to Georgia because she forgot her insulin. So they literally got there and realized that, turned around, went back home, slept, and then came back. I thought they were just driving quick and then they were going to switch out and be right back. Well, so I thought they were there. There was all sorts of commotion in the hallway, conversation. I opened my door and it's pitch black inside that hospital. Like, natural light coming in the windows. And I'm like, somebody was literally just having a full conversation. Then it dawned on me it was around 6 a.m. Well, I think that was around shift change time. So I had my wristband recorder going. I ran over to base camp, which we had set up at the ICU, the nurses station there by the elevator. Grabbed a recorder, and I no more get back. My wristband recorder died, and I right before I went to hit record on the recorder, I literally hear somebody walking around the corner. It almost sounded like a woman walking in heels. And I mean, it just got closer and closer and closer and just stopped. And I was just like, holy crap. And the energy and the atmosphere was just charged. Then there was another time we were down in Tri-City area. And, Tri-City is like my new favorite spot after this one experience I had, my recent one. But before this, we had set up a bunch of recorders throughout the entire Tri-City area, and we went to change batteries, and each one of them stopped at like it was either 1818 or 1840 something. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was 18 something. Like every single recorder was stopped at the same time. They were all fresh batteries, and they were placed around, not at the same time, but around the same time period. So it was just so strange that each and every one of them stopped at that exact moment. And the batteries were dead, we thought. So we turned the recorders back on and full batteries.
Wow.
So I don't know like what happened, but that very same hallway where I had this one experience, I saw an elderly man. It was as quick as I saw it, had salt and pepper gray hair, I turned around. I saw him. He's wearing a dark sweatshirt with a stripe. It was kind of, the stripe was dark. The rest was kind of a lighter shade. But as soon as I saw him, gone. But
Wow.
it was solid. It did not have any transparency to it. It was just like a person was like standing there. Well, that was interesting. So this will kind of relay into a story later. But another crazy thing, we were setting up a DVR camera on the 3rd floor, and something sprinted past us out of the pitch black dark. You know how dark it gets up on that 3rd floor in the hallways. Well, something comes tearing off through this hallway, literally runs past us. I feel the wind, and I get goosebumps thinking about it now. I was covered in goosebumps, and my arm hairs were sticking straight up, and you could hear it kind of, descend into the stairwell, and it just stopped. So that was crazy. Now, those were kind of the crazy ones. My most favorite experience is right there at the nurse's station. It's the last day we're there, and I'm doing an EVP session in the middle of the daytime, looking out the window where the couch and stuff is, and I'm just looking out there, and something kind of tells me to turn around. I turn around, and this black mass comes out of elevator door number 2, and it takes the shape of somebody, darts down all the way down, and hangs a left and goes down Tri-City. Past the ER and everything.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. That night, when we were walking up to go to dinner. We were going to dinner, and the elevator bell door dinged. The same hours later after I had that experience at the elevator. So that really kind of confirmed the activity, that I wasn't just losing my mind. It kind of, validated it, because I had the experience at the shaft, and then the elevator went off that night. So I was like, holy cow. So several years goes by. Do what? Oh, I was just saying, several years go by, and Ronnie got the building. Ronnie D, shout out Ronnie D. This man and his awesome crew have just done that building so good now. It's totally such a different environment, energy. I mean, you can breathe in there now. The black mold's gone. Such a wicked location now. And I was talking to him, about some of my experiences, and then he had somebody that had an experience a week prior describing the same apparition that I saw, the old elderly white man sitting in the ER area on a couch or something. And they thought they had an intruder in the building. So that just, I was like, oh my God, man, that's wicked. So me and Ronnie been talking off throughout, the last couple years, and he invited us down just recently and showed us the building, and I can't praise him and his crew enough for what they've done to that place. And if you've seen it before Ronnie had it, anybody can appreciate it. I mean, he's done such a good job, and the plans they got for it just awesome.
I had seen it on shows, but I could tell when we went that they had done a lot of work to it and cleaned it up a lot.
It is amazing. I'm speechless. Like when he showed me it, I was just like, whoa.
So I'm going to let Tori share a story. It may not have been her first paranormal experience, but I would say it may be one of her most profound. But before we do, I'm intrigued. I have to ask you, where did you sleep, and why did you say, I think this right here is a good place to sleep? Because I don't know that I'd have been comfortable sleeping in anywhere.
I didn't know what we were getting into. And the team said, they've slept there in the past. And what I can understand now with the activity and stuff that they got, it makes it worth it. But I didn't know going in there that there was black mold, and it was rough. I mean, it was hot, and on top of that, man, I had a headache the whole time we were there. So it was really, really miserable. But I slept on the same floor where the nurse's station is. You go down, and it's where they got all their new rooms now. And it's actually room number 5 is where I was sleeping.
Right. Okay. Well, we had some great experiences there. We didn't catch a whole lot as far as EVPs and, stuff on the cameras and stuff. But like I said, Tori had a really profound experience there, and I'll let her share a little bit about that, because I think you'd be interested in hearing about it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So Matt, Al, and I were down in the cafeteria area, but we were in the conference room, like what would be, I guess, the doctor's lunchroom, you know?
Yep.
And on our way down, you know, we're passing the pharmacy, and all of a sudden I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Already uncomfortable. Still not used to, you know, feeling that way. First big real big experience. And so we're in there and we set up the grid and we start to get going. Matt, you know, starts talking, and all of a sudden this cold spot hits him. And he's like, come here, like, you know, feel it.
Oh, I know those cold spots too well.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, all right. So still, you know, getting my feet wet. And we start going, and Matt's like, I'm going to get on the 1,000 rods. I'm like, okay. So Matt gets on the rods, and Al's filming, and we start talking, and Matt connects with, I start asking questions. We connect with a doctor, not a doctor from the hospital, but he was visiting. What we kind of gathered was his wife there at some point. And going on, kind of shortening the story, the questions we were asking, we were talking to him. He would come to see his wife who had been put in the hospital, and she ended up dying there. But Matt was getting pictures, and the craziest thing, he was like, can I give Tori the rod and you show her what you're showing me? Immediately, he was like, no. The rod swung completely backwards, and he was like, no. So Matt's like, okay, well, if I can take the rods and keep them, can you show her what you're showing me? And I'm like, oh, God. Like, I don't know if I want to do it or not. So he agrees, and, you know, the rods cross for yes, and I close my eyes. I'm like, okay, like, I want what we've seen. And sure enough, like, as soon as I opened my eyes, I'm like, she was at a retirement home or an assisted living. He was like, yes. I said, a doctor overdosed her, didn't he? And he was like, yes. And I was like, you never got to say goodbye. And he was like, no. And immediately it just overwhelmed me with so much emotion. I couldn't stop crying.
Oh, wow.
Like,
yeah.
So tore up. And the most amazing part of that was at the very end, Matt, we could tell he was getting weak, and we're like, can you hold on just long enough to get another group of teammates down here just to validate what we're doing? And he's like, yes. So I remember we come back out of there, and I'm still like, I feel like I'm going to fall on my face. You know, your legs want to buckle out. Michelle and my father, and was it Christina? Michelle, was she with you guys?
Yeah, Christina.
They came down the hall and were like, you just need to go in there. We're not going to tell you what's going on. You need to go in there and figure out who, you know, just go in there. So they end up talking to someone else. It ended up being one of the nurses from the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Kind of basically talking for him because he had become too weak to converse with them anymore. So she was giving the message to them for him. And it was an amazing experience. It was really interesting.
Oh, wow, yeah. And I can really relate as far as the emotional thing, especially the Tri-City area, which I'll explain to that later, that led up to my terrifying, I am now known as the Tri-City Sprinter at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. We'll talk about that here. But yeah, the energy, the cold spots too. I had a lot of that going on my last visit there. And it wasn't just like a cold spot. This was like somebody threw ice water on me cold.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy. But yeah, the emotions in parts of those hospitals, it could be overwhelming.
Oh yeah. You know, one of the questions I asked him, I was like, do you stay here basically of your own accord? Like, do you want to stay here? He was like, yes. I'm like, you're still taking care of the patients that have passed on still at the hospital. He's like, yes. Like, I'm watching over them.
That's
and
awesome.
You know, it was such a crazy to be one of my first really deep experiences to be that. It's definitely an eye opener and an amazing experience. I'll never forget for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we definitely want to go back.
Oh yeah.
I recommend it, especially now that, you know, they've done all this awesome work to it. The environment is totally different. Like, don't get me wrong, it can still be intense, but the dread's gone, if that makes sense. The just the angry kind of feeling you would get there in the past is just completely gone. It was my first time being there again. Such a different environment. It's more peaceful than anything.
Right.
But man, we'll talk about some of the experiences I just had recently going down there. We were there for 2 nights. First night was basically private. Second night we were there. We helped with the public tour that they had there. And the first night was pretty crazy. That is the most I've ever been touched in a location. The first couple times were kind of like tugs on my pants, but there was one incident in the hallway, and if you guys haven't experienced Dr. Taylor there yet, that's who they think this is. There is a smell you get, which is more of a mapley syrup kind of tobacco smell, and he smoked a pipe. And he was known through that. He used to walk through the hallways whistling and, smoking on his pipe. And there is a smell that comes, and it's not always there. It'll follow you, and it follows Ronnie's friend in particular. I think her name's Brooke, and Dr. Taylor loves her, and it's crazy. I actually got to experience it both nights. First night it wasn't real thick smoke, but you could smell it. Like we smelled the smell when we got back from dinner, and I was like, "What is that?" So I kind of brushed it off, and then I heard everybody else talking. "Oh, he's here!" And the smell added up. I was like, "Okay, that's crazy." So it's like this little rolling smoke. If you put light on it, you can see it. The second night, it was real thick, and it was like almost like a vortex. It was crazy.
That's cool.
But that's what kind of started happening. So they took us down to where Tri-City, aka Shadow Hallway, is, and all hell broke loose. Is what I'd say. First off, it was Ronnie and a couple of the other investigators there from his staff. They saw a man standing in the lab area, and they started getting some hits and stuff on equipment, and then so it was just weird. Like the environment was kind of changing. So they put me, if you guys seen the episode of Kindred Spirits where Amy did her estive method in the body box, I did that.
Right.
We got a couple intelligent answers, but nothing too crazy. The second night's work is really, really crazy. But nothing too crazy. We did that, and then all of a sudden, I'll never forget it. We're walking down the hall, and two of the girls that would scream. I mean, they were screaming bloody murder. It's like, whoa, what's going on? Well, apparently a shadow literally walked in between them, and I'm waiting to see back if my friend Daniel, who was filming at the time, actually has it on film. They thought they caught it, and it literally walked right in the middle of everybody where they were. So I'm like, dang it, I missed it, Well, a couple minutes goes by, and I'm standing in the hallway. I think Daniel's behind me. Somebody's standing, like, on the other side of me here, and it's like I see this black mass, but it was like somebody kicking their leg between me, straight up, and I was like, oh, crap. Did anybody see that? Everybody else that was sitting next to me actually saw it. So it's possibly they caught that on camera, too. I'm waiting to find out. And then that's when it gets crazy, because the girls started seeing something towards the end of the hallway going down towards their nursing station. So I kind of walked in front of them, they're kind of scared. So I'm walking in front of them just to see if I can, come into contact with anything or see anything. And it was almost like somebody opened an oven I got the smell. It was the weirdest thing. I had the smell of freshly baked chicken.
Wow.
And I heard it like a pop at the end of the hall, like somebody was like shuffling in a door frame or something, I was like, what is that? So I heard it, and you hear me react to it. Not even like 10 seconds after, I literally feel someone's hand on my left leg grab around my kneecap, and it caused me to kind of like drop for a second because it startled me. And the girls screamed bloody blue murder again. They thought they saw something between us. So that was kind of crazy because I had my back turned to them, and I didn't know why they were screaming. So it was weird. So Ronnie had a spot for me and Tim. Tim, which is T-Dog, he is known for his fear challenges. He locks himself down in the most active locations, chains himself down, puts a blindfold on, makes himself vulnerable to spirits, and he asks, respectful questions and just does an EVP session. And, that's his little thing. And he gets some pretty cool results in the past. But so Ronnie kind of wanted me and him to do a dual one. Oh, there he is. There he is right there. There's Tim Comer. That's what I'm talking about right now. So this is where the Tri-City Sprinter was born. So Ronnie put me, of course, down in the most active part of Tri-City, and then Tim was 50 feet in front of me where the ER started.
Right.
And the moment we got down there, Ronnie showed me, I'm like, crap. I had somebody in there. The energy is just so tight and just crazy down in that area. Well, so I'm like, okay, time to, suck it up and just do this. So I'm sitting there, and I literally felt somebody behind me the whole time from the second I sat down. And so 30, 45 minutes goes by. Nothing too crazy. I don't know if did Matt send a clip in of the voices for Old South Pittsburgh Hospital?
No. Did he send a clip with all the voices?
I didn't get that one. No, I don't
I
think.
can share. I can give it to you guys, and you can share it later. That way, everybody can
Okay.
can see
Yeah,
this. But,
we'll definitely share it.
But I actually heard a voice. Tim is doing his thing. You know, I'm being extremely quiet because I've already had experiences here. This is a spot, you know, where I want him to experience it. So I'm just sitting there being quiet, and he's doing his, you know, his question. Then I hear a voice, and you hear me react to it on the recorder. I mean, literally the second after I hear it, you hear me. I just heard a voice. Well, a little bit later after that, as Tim's talking again, there's a man. It says the first one says, "You may not." The one that I heard. I didn't know what it said at the time because it was muffled, but on review, it's like, "You may not." I was like, okay, well, this is what's crazy. Not too much longer after it. What's up, Gary? Not too much after this. Like I said, there was voices again of him, somebody talking. It says, "Do not, I'm resting." And then, "Do you help me?" Within seconds of each other. Same voice. Each 3 voices were the same voice. So this is where it gets crazy. I didn't know this was all going on at the time. I didn't hear the faint voices as he was talking. But I'm sitting there. Then I start getting sick to the point where I literally thought I was going to stand up and like vomit. Then I got hit with emotion. I mean, I wanted to cry. I just got really, really emotional in that area. Then after that, this is what's the craziest thing ever. I didn't catch any of this on audio. This whole entire. Oh, there's Ethan Rowland. That's my brother from another mother. Anyway, so it sounds like somebody comes around the corner because where I was sitting is where the pharmacy is. So I was sitting in that door, and I think this is where they would lay patients at some point if they were dying or something. I can't remember exactly, but it literally sounded like a man came into my ear and went, "Ugh," and growled. I went in fight or flight mode. I was not expecting this. I've never ran out of a location or anything like that in my life. I didn't run out of a location, but I ran out of this area. I literally covered 50 feet past Tim in 3 strides. And you hear him. It's the funniest thing. I threw the big old F-bomb. What the F was that? Or what the F? And I took off. I mean, you hear all my equipment smash the ground. I booked it. And upon review, it's the funniest thing hearing me go through this. We did not catch the voice I heard, but it was so loud. Like I was asking Tim, like, "You didn't hear that? You can't tell me you didn't hear that."
Yeah.
It's not there. So I have no explanation for it, but that's what happened down there, and it's just strange. Well, it gets crazy the next night, so I'm doing the Estes method in the body box again, and oh yeah, he says right there the playback on the audio was so funny. It was because you can hear me go through the different emotions. You know, I was like, oh my god, I just ran like a total puss. You know, I'm sorry if I startled you. You know, you startled me. So, and then it took me a while to calm down after that. It was bizarre. I can't wait to go back and sit in that hallway again and have it happen again. This time, hopefully, you know, if I do cover more distance, it's more distance. I'm just trying to kind of push my sprinting skills, I guess. But it was nuts.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. Tri-City was crazy, but doing the Estes method this time on an SB11. And this is a little vulgar, so I do apologize for the language, but this is what it actually said. People were asking questions, but this is what stuck out vividly to me. It said, "I scared you. You ran like a bitch." And I threw my hands up. I started laughing. I was like, all right, well played. Well played. I've never heard that kind of a sentence come out of an SB11 before. So I'm sitting here like, okay, that was a full sentence. I'm not real big into the ITC devices, but as of late, I've had quite a few experiences that, especially at Gettysburg, when I'm sitting in a dark basement, and I had a Union officer's kepi, and I'm holding it up with a Phasma box. And I held it up in the air. I said, "Can you tell me what color this is or what this represents?" And a voice comes not even 3 seconds after I asked the question. It says, "Union soldier." Sitting in a pitch black basement. How does an app know the color of my hat?
We've had a lot of success with ITC devices. we just got an IDC device from Jay Prather that's really awesome. But unfortunately, Matt's not here because he can talk about that thing till the cows come home. But it's an awesome piece of equipment. It uses your
Is that the one
energy.
that you're the antenna yourself, really?
Yeah.
Right.
On it. I used one of those recently, and those are pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool piece of equipment.
Definitely.
I think we're gonna game plan a little different if we go back to Old South, because I researched the crap out of that place before we went, and of course we knew about Buddy, we knew about Nellie on the third floor, we knew about the creeper on
Nellie
the third floor.
Active. Yeah.
Yeah. We did have some interaction.
Yeah. So we focused more on those than just exploring the place.
Explore,
and so,
have fun with it, and I'm telling you, you're going to get some crazy results.
Yeah.
Well, we had went
You'll
to
get
Hell's
some pretty good
Bar.
stuff.
We had went to Hell's Bar Dam the night before,
So
we were a little drained.
Yeah, we were
I can
pretty
only
bad.
imagine. Yeah, with that history, Hell's Bar Dam guy.
Yeah, next time if we do it again, we'll probably do them in reverse order, just because Hell's Bar was so active the night before.
I can't wait. That's on my bucket list. I've always wanted to go since I've heard about that place.
It's a great place.
Really cool location.
Yeah. So IDC devices from Jay are phenomenal. They really are. Well, he was on our show not too long ago, and we've become really good friends with JW. And I said, man, all you need is a sidekick named Marty in a lab coat, because that's what he reminded me of, was the doctor from Back to the Future. But you want to ask him that one?
But yeah, that Hell's Bar is definitely on my list, as well as Brushy. Those are two.
Oh, you need to go to those two for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely Hell's Bar.
So you said you don't use IDC devices that much, but what's your favorite equipment or methods?
Well, if I'm using, because I come across the spirit boxes and stuff a lot. Like if I'm using them like with the different techniques, I kind of, and if I'm getting intelligent stuff, especially that can back up on the history, I love using the Estes method. But I sweep and reverse an AM with the antenna down, or preferably with one that doesn't have the antenna. And I've had the best results doing that. And as far as my favorite ITC device, I'm a fan of that Phasma box after using it in Gettysburg, especially with that experience in the basement. I can't explain how it knew what color and what that hat represented in pitch black,
Right.
So have you used dowsing rods? Because we use those a lot.
I've been around them. I haven't. Maybe that's something I need to try. I've never fully done a dowsing rod run.
Yeah, you need to try them.
I've seen some crazy. My friend Tony Rathman, they just posted their best evidence from 2020, and he had a crazy interaction at this place that they were at. There's no way that it wasn't a spiritual energy. There's no way. Like the way these were it was crazy. Yeah. It was awesome.
We've had a lot of success with the dowsing rods.
Yeah. We subscribe to the Victorian era methods, as well as new equipment. We're geeks when it comes to equipment. We have about everything there is to have. I mean, we subscribe to if this one's not working, maybe try this one.
Right.
We use everything.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Nothing wrong with that.
we didn't get but the two times we've been there, we haven't got hardly anything on any ITC devices. It's like they don't want to talk to it. So
right. Some places you go, you get crazy results with them. Like it's easier for them to communicate with it. So I'm not opposed to using them. I like to try to make it as hard as it can be for them to come through for validation. But I'm a fan of like doing the Estes method and stuff like that. It's fun to do, and it's especially when you're with a big group of people. I mean,
well, we hold public investigations at a couple of locations near us, and fortunately we're the only teams that get to do these locations. Our historian Wes is the co-director of a place in Johnson City, Tennessee called Tipton Haynes, and we do a lot of Estes there with the attendees. We'll put them under Estes and let them see what they get, and we have a lot of success with that.
Yeah, that's what's
Willie
up. I
Wood
mean, get them
made a
involved.
comment. I'll if you want to comment on it, I'll let you. If you don't want to bypass it, that's okay too. He says your favorite piece of equipment is your Velcro sneakers.
I don't have Velcro sneakers. My favorite piece of equipment, though, is definitely my voice recorders. I have, I don't ever go to a location without about 6 of them.
Yeah.
I have a emergency, what I call the emergency voice recorder in my glove compartment, because you never know and you might need it and something on a location of some sort. But definitely audio. I'm pretty bare bones. Like I said, audio. I like having a body cam or a handheld camera on me.
Yeah, we've
just
got
to kind
those.
of and the EDI meter, the EDI plus, preferably.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite pieces too, because it does so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, I've used it a handful of times over the year now that I've had over a little year now, and it's only worked at haunted locations. So that spoke. I mean, it's a valid piece of equipment if it's used right. So
yeah. So I want to ask you about one. Most people consider it a controversial piece of equipment. We have one. We've had some success with it, but we've also debunked a lot of stuff with it, and that's the SLS camera. Do you guys?
I don't mess with them because there's false positives. If you get it anywhere near anything that reflects, it's gonna produce that false positive. And the first time I actually saw it in action was at Fowler Theater in somewhere here in Indiana. I forgot exactly where it was. I know it's in Fowler, Indiana, but there was claims of a child being in the front part of the room. Well, where this child was standing was in front of the trash can, and it was reflecting our reflections on it. So to me, I'm not downing anybody that uses them, but as far as scientifically, presenting evidence, I can't rely on the SLS. Now, if you're in an area where there's no reflection, you're getting stuff on it.
Yeah, you have to be comfortable using it. We found it does produce a lot of false positives, a lot of them. But we did have a pretty cool experience at TB Rippey with one, and to validate it, I kind of reached my hand out, and they were like, "Reach out and touch Al's hand," and you could see it actually kind of reach out and touch my hand, and immediately my hand got extremely cold, and and that to me
you have the other stuff to back it up, though. You have the the temperature change and stuff like that. So
what stopped us was we were walking up the steps, and I had an EMF detector in my hand, and it started going off, and we're like, why is this going off? Because we didn't have our phones, there was no electricity in the place on the floor we were on. So we stopped and got the SLS camera out and started panning, and that's when we captured it. So, that's one. We've had some other cool interactions with the SLS, but like I said, I think you do get a lot of false positives with it.
Yeah, that's the only problem with it is just the more false positives. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But speaking of like weird hits on the EMF, the craziest one that I've experienced ever, when I was at Gettysburg back right in fall, right as it turned fall, I think it was September, and I'm at the wheat field, and I had my good friends from Dixieland Mystical Society over there with us, and we're in the middle of the wheat field, and there's no EMF. It's EMF flat completely out in the middle of this battlefield. Well, it spiked up on the millimeter to 8.5, and it didn't stay around long. It was more burst of energy. So I'm sitting there like, okay, this is crazy. Well, shortly after that, we were hearing like something crawling through the grass. So somebody Jim pulled out his thermal. We scanned the whole area. There's nothing crawling towards us. There's no heat signatures. Well, right after that, you hear somebody grunting in pain. Well, the wheat field's a spot, one of the most bloody spots of Gettysburg. I mean, you couldn't walk anywhere without stepping on a body. That whole field.
Right.
And the gruesome history, you know, the battle was going on. The pigs got out, so they were eating the carcass, and it was just, and not the carcass, but the corpse on the ground. Just a bad energy. But actually hearing somebody grunt 4 times, and then shortly after that, hearing a horse high pitched neigh, it blew me away. Like, it all led up, you know, from just a spike off of an EMF meter and having something crazy happen.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the places that we want to go to is Gettysburg. We've talked about it.
We may get up there later this year, maybe in the summer. We have a good friend with Paranormal Brews. That's Taryn Kerper. That's her favorite place.
Yeah. Make sure you guys check out Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. That's coming in. I think they're doing it in August this year.
Oh yeah, she never misses that. So
yeah,
we may.
That's originally when we first went, but they canceled it. It was like, but this year.
Yeah. So we'll wrap the show up with a couple of fun little questions we like to ask.
Okay.
Well, one serious and then a couple of fun ones. What would you like to see changed in the paranormal?
As the field in general?
Yes.
As of late, I've been seeing a lot of people really competing with each other as far as, you know, the race for fame and the attention and stuff. And a lot of people forget, you know, why we're in this together, you know, and they just, I've been seeing a lot of the bullying and stuff. So I guess, you know, more actual para-unity. And I always say para-unity is more than a word. It's an action because it is an action.
Yeah, and that's so true.
Yeah, that's one thing. I hate seeing other teams, you know, bashing people or individuals, you know, bashing people because, you know, they may not agree on something and, you know, an investigation style or they may not agree with how they do something, you know, but at the end of the day, it's important for all of us to come together and investigate and, you know, put the differences aside and just, there's just so much hate and negativity. That's one thing I'd love to see, you know, change in the field. Because in the end, we're all together.
And, you know, I mean, we love meeting new people and getting new ideas from people.
Yeah.
You know, we're open to new ways of investigating.
All right, you can learn a lot from anybody, you know.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They may have been in the field for a week. They might know, you know, say something that, you know, finally clicked. Like, hey, I never looked at it that way. So
yeah, but para-unity
learn.
is a great answer because that's usually our answer. You know, we just like to, you know, Gary Woodward's. Yeah, that's. He says, let's all be equal and help lift everyone up to advance the industry field. So,
amen.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, sure is.
So I'm going to let Michelle or Tori. I'll let Tori ask the last question, but I had one more.
Cool.
What would be your bucket list place to investigate?
Your main place you want to go. You've never been.
Main place. Of course, always old South Pittsburgh Hospital, but that's a place I've already investigated. One place that I haven't investigated would have to be Prevelia Island. I want to check that place out so bad.
So you've seen the Ghost Adventures episode of that?
Yes, and to me that was my favorite, most like validating episode from them. Because just it's if you look at the history of that place, it's got the recipe for to be extremely haunted. Right. And plus, I like Italy. Like I'd love to, you know, kind of branch out. You know, once the world gets back to, you know, non-COVID stage, it'd be nice to get over there.
Yeah. My answer is kind of simple. I mean, I want to go out west and do Tombstone or Virginia City, definitely. Some places like that. I mean, that's very doable, more so than, you know, overseas. But what's yours?
I want to go to Deadwood.
She wants to go to
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg and Deadwood. What's your story? What's your bucket list location?
I want to go back to Trans-Allegheny and actually do a legit investigation, kind of just like the everyone come see it daytime deal. I want to go experience the whole thing, have the whole building myself.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean we're definitely going to get there eventually.
It's an amazing place just to be inside of during the day. It's got to be trippy. It would have to be.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah.
It's
So
huge.
Tori, I'll give you the honors since this is kind of, well, it's not your first show, but it's kind of, you know, I'll let you do the honors of asking the last fun question.
Oh,
Do you know what it is?
well, I can gather a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming it's something about a ghost outfit.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Ghost
it.
outfit.
So if you were to pass away,
Oh,
and
like
you
what
come
would you
back
wear?
as a
Okay, I
ghost,
understand.
yeah, if you were to pass away and come back as a ghost, what would be your ghost outfit?
Me being the goofy person that I am, it would probably be a pink tutu, a tiara, and a wand.
Yeah.
And I literally, I did
We've
stab
not heard
the
that
walls
one.
in the building and just smack people with it.
We've had some interesting answers, but they have not heard that one before.
That's pretty good.
I would definitely most likely be on the borderline of a trickster, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta have fun with it. If you think of it, the spirits know us more than we know ourselves. And with the experience I just had at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, it knew me and it knew when to attack. Not really attack; they don't attack you, but it knew when to, you know, come at me, and it got the reaction, and I took off. But
so,
yeah.
Tori, what's your ghost outfit?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Like I feel like I'd want to have like superhero type cape and everything to be just cool, I guess.
Michelle?
I said I would come back maybe like the girl in the ring or the one with the long black hair. Kind of scary.
Oh, worst. Like that movie was the very first scary movie I ever saw. It gave me nightmares for a week when I was a kid.
I guess that's what I want to do, give people nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's yours now?
Yeah.
I said if I was coming back to scare people, I was just going to be naked. I mean, and you know what? We had Charlie Raymond from Big Kentucky Bigfoot researchers 2 weeks ago, and that was his answer. So me and him are like, so
Pretty good.
So before we end the broadcast, Ricky, we appreciate you coming on, and
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
we'll give you this chance to talk about your events coming up. I know you got some coming up.
Yep, we got a one event. We're still working on the details as far as the date, but we're going to be having a meet and greet at the Old Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana. That's a location I didn't talk about, but maybe if you guys have me next time, we can talk about that. But active location, very well known for John Dillinger's infamous jailbreak. So John Dillinger spent some time there, and that's where he successfully got free. And shortly after, about 3 months later, that's when everything happened in Chicago and he was gunned down. But we're going to be doing a meet and greet that's going to be around late May, I believe. Once I have some details, if you guys follow us on our, it'll probably be either on the Riverbend page. I'll share it there. Also, if you're not following us on the Paranormal Worldwide crew, that's mine at Tim and our, Riverbend, Indiana's interactive group page. That's where we keep everybody kind of informed what's going on there. We have a lot of investigations lined up. We're getting ready to go to Whispers Estate at the end of the month. That's going to be a first time for a lot of the team.
That's also on our list, Whispers Estate in Indiana, right?
Yep. That's about a 3-hour, 40-minute drive from where I'm at. It's kind of a haul, but it's gonna be a good time. After that, we've got Waverly coming up. I know a couple of our teammates might be joining actually Gary over at Edinburgh Manor in Iowa.
Okay. Yeah.
I know that's in the works. We've got, things are booking up. I'm going to be at Waverly 3 times, literally in a month's period, 3 months period. I'll be there pretty much every month for 3 months. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's booking up.
I read somewhere you got a Dead of Winter festival. Is that?
Oh, what's that?
In Alton, Illinois. Do you have an event there?
Brian and Rochelle may be having something as well. I know they did a meet and greet at Mineral Springs.
Okay.
But that might be something that's in the works too. I can confirm with them and find out about that.
Right. Mineral
Yeah,
Springs
we're gonna try to be at the Texas Paracon. I think Dallas Paracon or something like that.
okay.
That's gonna be one we're gonna try to get to as well.
Sounds like you're gonna have a busy year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how things have just it's taken off like wildfire. It's just like whoa.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to hearing more about your adventures this year.
Yeah.
You'll have to come back and join us
Yeah.
later.
Right. And if you ever get down to our part, you know, the Tri-Cities area, Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City, Tennessee, look us up. We'll take you out. You got
I
a
told
standard
Tony,
invitation.
I said, me and a couple of my teammates and whoever I can bring with me from the team, we'd love to get down there and do some investigating with y'all. So, or maybe
Yeah.
we could just meet somewhere too if you guys want to do a location. You know.
Yeah, I
we're
think
open for
Fred
that.
Allegheny might be the.
Do you want to tell me about the
Oh yeah,
That'd be awesome.
yeah. We can take you up. Our home hunt is based in Glade Spring, Virginia, which is about 35 miles from us. But Rhonda on our
Okay.
team owns it, and it's a cool location. If you're ever down this way, you know, we'll take you up there, and you know that
definitely.
place.
Yeah, we can set something up soon. You know, whatever works for y'all.
Yeah, it never disappoints. You know, just like Tipton Haynes in Johnson City, we can get in there. You know, we can go down to Brushy. You know,
That's
we can,
definitely, and I think we're gonna take you up on that too, because I know Tim and another one of my teammates are like, "Oh my god, I want to go!" So
yeah.
that'll
Yeah,
be so
that's
cool to
cool.
look forward to.
So next week we've got Daniel Clace from the Hinsdale House is going to join us on the gathering.
Yep, good old, Daniel.
Yeah.
Awesome dude right there. Awesome
Yeah,
dude.
we actually
We're actually gonna be
went to the
investigating
Hinsdale House.
too.
Have you been to the Hinsdale House? We've been there.
Not yet, but this year it's happening.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be getting up there with our good friends from Trinity. That's like our other paranormal family. So we're gonna be going up to Long Island sometime in the summer this year. So
Yeah,
we'll definitely be going to see Daniel while we're there.
yeah. I mean, just all I can say is prepare yourself for that location because it's
Yep. Oh,
it's
I know.
it's a dark.
my friend
We had
Laura
some.
Cat go there all the time.
Yeah, we had
Crazy.
some wild experiences there.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So
I
if
can't wait
you'll
to
hang
go.
out
That's
with
on my
us,
bucket list.
yeah, if you'll hang
What's
out
that?
with us after we end the show, we'll say our goodbyes off the air. But we appreciate everybody tuning in. I think it was a great show. Hopefully Matt will feel well enough next week to be with us. You know, he's a little under the weather, so he hated he missed it, and we wish him well and hope he gets back next week. But if you'll hang out, we'll end the show and we'll talk to you after that.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.